Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Music Done. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. And above all else, that you're looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, the gang are back for episode 3 of Triple Play. We have Mr. Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
Doing all right, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Going fine, thank you.
Wonderful. And the one and only Mr. Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Doing well. Got all the Christmas wrappings and everything all thoroughly cleaned up, all the stuff put away. Get ready for the upcoming new year.
There you go. There you go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the idea of Triple Play is for us to pick an artist that had a run of 3 albums that we think are great. Not perfect, because again, we've already covered that in another set of episodes, but great albums. And for whatever reason, some for some of us, it may have sentimental reasons. You know, brings certain albums bring back different memories for everybody, right? Different reasons. So each of us have picked an artist again that have a run of 3 albums back to back that are great albums. And we're going to share this list with you for day number 3. And kicking off this episode, I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to go with Bill to go first.
Let me unmute myself then. All right. Well, so far I've been sticking with the wall. So for one more time, I'm going to go ahead and follow that trend. My next pick is 1972, 3, and 4. Steely Dan's first 3 albums: Can't Buy a Thrill, Countdown to Ecstasy, and Pretzel Logic. Yeah, I could have done a 6 or 7 album run with these guys easily, but I am just ever so slightly in favor of the earlier albums because I've been on record everywhere anytime we talk about these guys as a fan of Steely Dan the band a bit more than Steely Dan the concept of Walter Becker and Donald Fagen and Assorted Studio Pros. I really liked what the whole band brought to the table on these early albums. It's kind of a different vibe than the perfectionism that they had later. There's the different sort of personality to these early albums. Even David Palmer on the debut, I appreciate his presence on
Yeah.
some vocals, and Jim Hodder, the drummer, even did a vocal on Midnight Cruiser on the debut. And I think that really, as much as I like Donald Fagen's voice, it's very unique. I think I really loved the variety of vocals on the debut, which is why it remains my favorite Steely Dan album. One of the reasons I always think that's a strength in bands.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they had the big hits off this album. The debut, "Do It Again" and "Reeling in the Years" that were instant big hits, and then "Countdown to Ecstasy" came out, and yeah, not so much. Not so much in the hits anymore. I mean, obviously, there's some radio staples on there for people who listen to classic rock stations. I assume they're still playing stuff like Bodhisattva and Showbiz Kids and My Old School. Those used to be staples back when I was a radio listener. So, but they weren't really the pop hits that they had
Right.
previously.
Mm-hmm.
This album was a bit experimental. It had some pretty cool songs on it, like "King of the World," and one of the most sincere, even though it's still a little, it has that Steely Dan edge to it and humor as but it's one of the most sincere songs they ever did. I think the warmest songs they ever did is "Pearl of the Quarter."
Yep.
My favorite track.
Kind of yeah, it's a wonderful. It's very uncharacteristic, really,
Oh
but
my
it's
God.
great.
Yeah.
Uh, and then "Pretzel Logic." That would bring them back to the pop success again in a big way with their all-time biggest single. And what's that, folks? That's right. Dun, dun, dun. "Song of My Father." What's the name again?
Yeah, Horace Silver.
Oh, no, no, no. Okay, it's "Ricky Don't Lose That Number." Yeah, obviously that's a little dig at Becker and Fagen for their liberal borrowing from Horace Silver. I, this album actually has a few little bits on there like that. It also has Parker's Band, which is, of course, a tribute to Charlie Parker. And it also has a cover of the Duke Ellington Bubba Miley tune, East St. Louis Toodaloo, which is the first time that I remember ever hearing a Duke Ellington song. So thank you, gentlemen, for being the first point that led me down that long-term love of Duke Ellington and his music. Of course, their version is really not quite like the original, but they without horns, they managed to take guitars and get that wow wow sound that the early Duke Ellington band and Bubba Miley in particular were famous for, which is pretty cool. Years later, Joe Jackson would do his Duke Ellington cover album, and him being a fan of both Steely Dan and Duke Ellington, I'm pretty sure this might have inspired a bit of his own way he did his covers without using the horn section. Yeah, these guys had a lot of jazz on this album in many ways. Obviously, they're jazz fans, and that would continue. They would expand that further in their career. I'm willing to bet that we might be hearing a bit about that at some point in this series. So, yeah, I don't know, man. This truly at least needs to be a 6 album run, if not 7. But I'm going with the first 3 because they're nearest and dearest to my heart. So there you go, Steely Dan.
Fantastic choice. Fantastic pick. Yeah. I've always loved Pearl of the Quarter. I'm just, it takes my breath away when I hear that song. All right. Over to Ken.
Okay. I'm going to go with a band that I doubt anyone else is going to choose. I'm going back to 1980 through 1982 with the band from New Zealand called Split Enz.
Yeah.
True Colors, Waiata, or Corroboree, depends on what continent you're on, and Time and Tide. The band was begun by Tim Finn to great success, kind of eclectic post-punk, very quirky, very melodic, using starting to incorporate a lot of keyboards in the new wave kind of flavor. And then on True Colors, Tim's little brother, Neil Finn, joined the band and penned the song called I Got You, which broke them out, partially thanks to MTV and the music video. And they started to get some recognition in other continents. Fantastic album. The next album, Waiata, Neil Finn continued to show his songwriting prowess with another hit called One Step Ahead. Also a song called History Never Repeats, which the band would be very well known for. And then the following year was Time and Tide. With this, their songs became a little bit more sophisticated in the writing and especially the production. Great songs, Dirty Creature, 6 Months in a Leaky Boat, and a song about the world's tallest woman called Hello, Sandy Allen. The band didn't do like a lot of bands. They didn't just write love songs. Matter of fact, probably a minority of their catalog are, the boy meets girl, boy loses girl, that whole thing. But to me, one of the best examples of this, of post-punk and new wave of the early 80s. And yeah, and actually they broke out with True Colors, like I said, and this was their 6th album. It took them quite a while to break that thing, but at the same time, they were very popular in New Zealand,
Yeah,
and in Australia. So, to their credit, they were pretty big in their part of the world at the time. But yeah, Split Enz, one of my favorites of the early 80s.
good choice. Good choice. I mean, two things. I remember I Got You. My brother-in-law Mario had the album, and I remember the vinyl was etched,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yes. Laser.
Bloody hell, if you were a DJ at a Christmas party or any type of play, like with the lights going off and that record spinning in your eyes, you'd go blind because I mean it was just so
It's great.
bright and coming at you. I remember I Got You, and I remember 6 Months in a Leaky Boat. I just thought that was a good, well-crafted pop song,
Yeah.
and you know, it was fantastic. It was really good. Yeah. No, a good choice. Good choice.
And for Crowded House fans, I'll add that it is a very easy step backward to those
Yes.
three albums. You can definitely hear, you know, the
The lineage.
the lineage and the songwriter that
Sorry.
Neil Finn blossomed or exploded into with Crowded House. You
Oh, yeah.
hear all those steps in those
Oh, yeah.
three Split Ends records.
Well,
Yeah.
Jim, you're spoiling my next day's pick. So
Okay. All right. Jim. You pick.
I'm afraid to say anything now. Um, who will I offend next?
Probably me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. I was originally going to go a different direction on this list, but I'm going to call an audible and I'm going to go way to the other side. I'm going to go with Bruce Springsteen. I am going to go with his epic 3 album smash of Born to Run, Darkness on the Edge of Town, and The River.
Oh, bloody hell.
yeah,
I mean, I adore these records.
Show's over. We're done. That's good. No, it's that good.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I mean, none of these made my perfect album listings because there's usually just one track on there that kind of irks me. But when I just think about the quality of the albums overall, they're just they're sweeping and broad. They pack an emotional punch. There's definitely, a little bit of tenderness here and there on the records. The river might run a little bit long, but not too much.
Hell
You
no.
know, yeah. Darkness on the Edge of Town. I mean, we've talked about that before. Not only on 31 Perfect Albums, but on the Missed It by That Much series. I think we talked about it there too. And Born to Run. Yeah, gosh, what can you say about Born to Run? I guess the
Wow.
only what's that?
You say a lot. There's a lot to say about Born to Run.
There is a lot to say, but I don't feel like I can add anything new, except that for me, the definitive version of Thunder Road doesn't come from Born to Run, but it comes from the live 75-85 album. There's just something about the eliminating the bombast from that version, and it's just the piano and the harmonica and Federici's little, glockenspiel clinks at the end, that just drive the wanting and the passion just much more deeper and effectively than just with the big drums and the Clarence's sax and the guitars and all that. I guess to me that's a case of less is more, but not to take anything away with just the beauty of Thunder Road and what a just fantastic track that is. So yeah, Bruce, Born, Darkness, River.
Good. Mic drop. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, a little footnote, just in case you didn't know, the reissues, the box sets of the Springsteen albums, Born to Run, Darkness, and The River, which I have, all come with previously unreleased concerts. And these are not shot from like, like the back row of the theater of the arena. These are shot like second row, perfectly done, like 3-hour shows that are just phenomenal, like phenomenal, and literally just beautifully done. If you can get them and find them, please do. Please do. I mean, you will not
Yeah.
be disappointed.
Especially the Darkness on the Edge of Town set. I mean, Springsteen shows. I see Bill. Springsteen shows in there they are, the big man.
There it is.
Oh
Yep.
God,
Um,
my God, yeah.
Springsteen 78 shows are just legendary. I can't think of a band that had a stronger run than Springsteen in 78. That's just unbelievable power.
And with the sorry, not to cut you off, but with Darkness on the Edge of Town and with the box set, it's also available separately. There's another album called Promised Land.
Oh, The Promise, I think.
The Promise, sorry, The Promise, featuring 21 additional tracks that were written and recorded for the sessions for Darkness on the Edge of Town. What people don't seem to understand, or maybe they don't know, was that he was so prolific that for every 4 songs he wrote, he recorded one. You know what I mean? He had a lot of uh, backlog in terms of songs, in terms of recording stuff. So the well did not run dry for him at all at any point in his career. So and another footnote, he's performing here in Edmonton, I believe on November 19th. Do I want to go and pay $350 a ticket? No, can't afford it. But there you go. It's still cheaper than Taylor Swift. Wouldn't even go there. But I had to get that in there.
But who's got better legs? Let's talk about that.
I don't go there for the legs. I go there for the music. Okay, it's not my thing. I'm sorry. Okay, no, it's a good choice, Jim. My God, I got to pull out those box sets and listen to them again. Jesus, I keep forgetting to pull them out and listen to them. But
Maybe you just need to move down into the basement.
I think I do. I think one of them is up here in the ottoman in the cupboard here. I can pull it out. The Darkness one actually is. Okay, my pick for day 3 of Triple Play, we're going with Pink Floyd, and we're not going with the one that people are obviously going to think is in the list. We're going with Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall as my Triple Play selection for day 3. A lot of people talk about, Dark Side of the Moon for good reason, but they did have a life after Dark Side of the Moon. And trying to follow up Dark Side was a bit of a daunting task, but I think they delivered perfectly with Wish You Were Here, released September 12th, 1975, the first release for Columbia Records in the US and Canada. I call it a 5-song suite. The original idea was to do an entire side of Shine On You Crazy Diamonds, the one track featuring multiple parts. But they decided to split it up into 2, bookending the album perfectly. Again, starts off with Shine On You Crazy Diamond, part 1 through 5. And I do believe starting with Dark Side of the Moon, all of their albums were sequenced to run in, like all segued into one another. So when you put on a Pink Floyd album, not only it was just one, it was an album experience. It wasn't cherry picking certain songs to listen to. You sat back, you lit up a joint, you relaxed, and you had a good time. And it took you on a journey. After Shine You Crazy Diamonds, it has, the track Welcome to the Machine, featuring Gilmore on vocals. And that song, I've come to realize over the years, that has a lot more meaning than you would think it would. And, Have a Cigar, featuring Roy Harper on lead vocals. And Roy would say in an interview that he was recording one of his albums in the next studio. He went in, they couldn't get the vocal done for this track properly or to their satisfaction. So he said, why don't I have a go at it? And he did. They kept it. Roger Waters would later say he thought that maybe he should have done the vocal himself or tried again because he just gave up at that point. But I think that adding another vocalist gave it another dimension to the song and to the album, really. Because people were saying, who is that singing on, Have a Cigar? The exquisite Wish You Were Here and, dedicated to Syd Barrett, and the story of Syd Barrett coming in the studio when they were recording and sitting in the back of the room, not even talking to anybody. They didn't realize who he was until he got up to leave, and they all started crying because of the way he looked. Just wouldn't even go there. But it ends off with Shining You Crazy Diamond parts 6 to 9, and it is just beautiful. Perfectly done production wise, in my very humble opinion. Fantastic drum sound from Nick Mason. Then they followed it up with Animals, released January 21st, 77. Another 5-song affair. Pigs on the Wing Part 1, Dogs, 17-minute plus, basically sidelong epic. Pigs, 3 different ones, 11 minutes, and 10 minutes and 20 seconds of Sheep. That's on track 4. Ends off with Pigs on the Wing Part 2. Now, forgive me, guys. On the A track, there's a solo done by Snowy White. On which track is that?
Part 2. Pigs on the Wing Part 2.
2. Yes, there is an extended version, again, ladies and gentlemen, of Pigs on the Wing Part 2, featuring Snowy White on lead guitar, which I wish they would have kept that for the CD version and the album version. There's been a lot of talk about this album and its 2018 remix and reissue. The fights have been going on between Gilmour and Waters due to one line of text in the liner notes. The album was held up for 5 years because of one line of text in the liner notes. Guys, grow a pair of balls, be an adult, and get it together and just move on. Enough is enough. This is disgusting. But my triple play ends off for day 3 with The Wall, released November 30th, 1979. Classic album, 26 tracks. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I think it's a perfect album the way it is. People have said, and I won't name names, that it should be trimmed down to a single disc. I don't see how you can do it. This is Waters' magnum opus in terms of his concept. The band were given the choice of either recording The Wall or The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking.
They chose well.
They chose well. Although Gilmour has said in interviews that he feels that The Wall lacks a certain amount of soul, and that they should have picked The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. You know what? Hindsight for him is probably, that's how he feels. I think that they made the right choice. This album was a massive success. I will go to my grave loving this album and declaring it my favorite album of Floyd, no matter what. So I think that these 3 albums for me, middle of and the mid-70s, were Pink Floyd on another level, on another plane. And I just wish Waters would have gotten out of his own way in order to enjoy what was going on at the time. Enough said. So that's my pick for day 3 of Triple Play. Any comments, any notes, any observations?
Great choices.
Harumph.
Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, day 3 of Triple Play. We're enjoying this set of episodes that we're doing. Please put down in the comments below your picks for day 3 of bands that you feel had a run of 3 great albums. Not perfect, but great albums. Again, our picks are done for different reasons, right? So there's no right or wrong answers, just opinions. So for Jim, Ken, and Bill, I'm Armando signing off. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Again, to keep yourselves on top of any new content that I've got coming up. And we will be back with episode 4 of Triple Play coming up. See you soon. Bye for now.